We've got the legendary basketball player from the University of Toledo, Mr. Steve Mix. And Steve, thanks so much for being with us on Sports Wrap here at Borders. And before we get into all the book hoopla, and we'll talk about that in a minute, I want to ask you, a couple of things. And first, congratulate you on your Maumee facility. I've had nieces and nephews go through there, and I know tons of kids that have. And you're teaching kids the game of basketball, fundamentals on up, and I don't see a lot of people doing that today, and I congratulate you on that.
Well, thank you, Tom. The one thing that now we're heading into our 12th season, and the one thing that we decided when we first opened that it was extremely important to teach kids the fundamentals first, and then once you have that base, now you can expand on that as much as you want to. You can get into the dribbling between the legs and behind the back and everything else. But you need that solid base in anything in life, whether it's education or family or basketball. You need that base. And once that base is there, now you can start expanding your game. And that's the one thing we decided to do a long time ago. And we've had over 80 kids go on to play college basketball at some level in the 12 years, and we're really proud of that, and the kids that come through that and continue to come through that, and the response we get from the parents as far as, boy, this is the best camp we've ever sent our kids to, because a lot of these kids will come for a couple years, they might go down to Duke or they might go somewhere else, but they seem to come back, and when they do, they give us that response, and that means a lot to us.
Steve, you have a good young high school basketball player. What's the most difficult thing for you to teach? A lot of kids can score the ball. They work on that part of the game. But what's the most difficult thing or the non-glamorous part of basketball for you to teach a young kid?
Well, I think that on the guys' side, the one thing that you have to convince them is that they don't know everything. And once you do that, and once they accept the fact that I don't know 100% of what's going out on the court, now you can teach them. From a girl's standpoint, they're like a sponge. They want to learn. So you just teach them, and teach them as much as they can. And I don't see any differentiation between teaching the guys and teaching the girls. You're still going to teach them the same things. They just play below the rim. So, I think those two things are extremely important. You get the girls that want to be the sponges and just absorb everything you teach them, and then go home and practice it, and then you have to get the guys to believe that they don't know everything.
Steve, your career at the University of Toledo was incredible, and we'll talk about that in a second with Christine's book. But in the NBA, I watch all the classic games, and I never want to be a guy that says the old guys are always the best, that the older teams and all that. I get, great athletes today and athleticism and all that, but I watch your Sixer team. When you had you and Doc and Moses and Tony and Cheeks and Bobby Jones and those kind of guys and a great coach, I would put you guys up against anybody. Bird, McHale, and those guys had a great franchise, and Magic and Kareem, but I'm saying that you could have beaten anybody.
Well, I'm going to give you a couple stats on that team. When Julius finally arrived in '76, for a 9-year stretch, we won 55 games. We averaged 55 games. We scored 110 points, and as a team, we shot 50%. Go find teams today that can do that. Now, the really good teams, the fundamental teams, Detroit's, the San Antonios, Dallas now this year, they can do that. And you're starting to see the NBA get a little bit better in their shooting percentage, their free throw percentage. I think you're seeing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, you were seeing all those high school kids coming in, and the fundamentals really started to dip, and I think that's one of the reasons why David Stern wanted to start getting away from the high school kids coming in. They put that age bracket on there so that you can't come in right out of high school, and I think you'll see the NBA and the fundamentals and all the pertinent stats start going up a little bit.
And Steve, you do the color for the Sixers and do a great job with that, but I asked you about the answer AI. I watch him play, and I respect him. He's such a warrior. He plays hard. He plays physical. He takes it inside. He takes a pounding. All that's established, and nobody would question his courage. There's no question about that. And he plays hard every minute he's on the floor. But I'm wondering, does he need to change his mindset for Philly to win? I don't know if he makes his other people around him better. And Magic did that. Doc did that. Bird did that. It seems like the really great ones, and I think LeBron is doing that, and you're seeing that with the Cavs, the really great ones make the other people around them better. What's AI got to do?
Well, I think the one thing, and Mo Cheeks hit that right from the get-go at training camp. He wanted him to take 5 or 6 less shots per game and get more guys involved probably in the first quarter, a little bit more quickly than he has in the past, and that did not happen. He had a tremendous statistical year this year, an individual year, but he just did not get his teammates involved as much as I think Mo Cheeks would have loved him to.
Well, Steve, the book, best seat in the house, the reason we're here at Borders, you're in the first chapter. It is so cool. I read the book, and I was excited for you. You deserve it. I remember those years, as Christine does, and she puts it down in paper so well. What does that mean to you to be in the book?
Well, I met Christine a couple years ago, and it's just been a joy. And when she called and said that I want to, and I really didn't know, that she came to all the games, but when she started calling and asking me for pertinent details on my career at University of Toledo, I was like thrilled. I mean, I was ecstatic that somebody would actually remember those days and put us in paper or in hardback like that. And I'm like, I was thrilled to death that she was able to do that and to see that and to read that book. I'll tell you what, that is a tremendous book. It's a love story between a daughter and her father, and it's just a great book.
Yeah, it is. Steve Mix, always classy. Mr. Toledo basketball, it'll always be that way, Steve. Thanks so much for being on Sports.